very long time ago.
Actually, no, it wasn't that long ago. I don't know, it's weird. I've been going live for so long at this point that, like, people be here, and I don't realize they here until they reference something that happened in the live from, like, 4 months ago. And it's like, oh, snap, I should have been paying a little bit more attention. You've been here for a little bit now. And I think that's the result of, like, I guess people put on lives the same way I put on podcasts, where it's, like, background music, where it's, like, I don't want to feel alone. So let me listen to these people that's talking in my headphones instead of these people that's talking in my head. And I think that's how people, because, like, I can't stay in a live. What's up, United? Welcome. For example, United and Meraki be having fire lives, but, like, I can't watch a live because I'm doing freaking things. Like, there is actively stuff to be doing at any point in time. Even the live. The live is literally something to do. Like, and it's become weird now because I've started having people that just call my phone and FaceTime me for hours on end. It's not a bad thing, because that's what people apparently freaking do. But, like, I don't get it. I don't understand the doing of things that are not inherently missions. Like hanging out. It confuses me. The concept of hanging out makes literally no sense. However, there are people that you do not have access to unless you hang out, and you can't be cool with most humans if you don't hang out with them. So hanging out is like a requirement for social validation in order for moves to be made. It's a mission. It's a secret mission. And that's perfectly fine. Welcome, people. How are y'all? How are you feeling this wonderful day? We ask men how they're feeling here instead of callously attacking men for no freaking reason. Like, I'm actually kind of sick of it a little bit. To the point I've had to put a couple accounts on mute because they just be going in on dudes for no reason, and it's pretty hard to be a freaking dude watching all of this. Like, it's like looking at a Venus flytrap that just keeps having flies fall into it as a fly. And even if you're like a clean fly, you're still a freaking fly, and so you're looking at all of these poor saps that are like the same thing as you. And you're like, dang, y'all ain't never gonna learn. But that Venus flytrap smells delicious. Maybe I should go in there for a little bit. Alright, United, this is what we're gonna do. I'm supposed to be going live with Between Magic and Drink, but he got children. So, you're going to be in here until he comes. Because it's a confusing space to exist in right now. Not as a fly, I am deadly serious. What's up, bro?
First, I come on to your live talking about, I'm gonna listen to a podcast because I don't want to listen to the voices in my head no more. I'm like, damn, that's relatable as fuck.
Yeah, because it's like I figured out the root of my dissatisfaction with my mind, and now that I figured it out, I don't want to face it. It's like we're listening to music podcasts and anime podcasts now.
That's big facts. I mean, I know for a fact I can't listen to certain podcasts for long periods of time. I gotta go back and forth.
Indeed. And I'll listen to like pieces. Like the Joe Rogan clips are so nice because the algorithm will put them in a row where it's different podcasts about relatively the same thing. Whereas when you listen to one podcast, because of the way that he has conversations, they'll touch on like 50 topics in one episode, but it's still the same people. And I like that variety.
Big facts.
Well,
and I understand how you feel too. It's like, man, I'm just being attacked today, huh?
And it's fine to be attacked.
I don't know. Sometimes I think I know exactly what you're talking about too. There's a certain post that for the first time since following a certain person has actually triggered me.
That mute button goes hard, bro, because what happens is I'll meet people in real life and I'll be fans of them for what they do, but they'll ask me if I've seen any of their recent stuff, and I'll be like, nah, because I don't want you to make something that makes me dislike you. So if I already like you, I'm not watching your stuff.
That's big facts.
You've crossed into the realm of friends. Welcome, Sour Love. Yes, United is a professed appa eater.
Yes.
Oh.
Appa can feed a family of 5 for maybe a good 2 months if they have good storage and units.
You're not wrong. Actually, I feel like a family of 5.
Because, it depends how voracious of eaters they are. But if they portion it out, it's like, yeah, we're gonna use a leg to make like a week or two's worth of stew. Boom.
You're not wrong. How heavy do you think? How much meat, like in pounds, do you think appa is?
Shit, I think a single leg from appa is like a good. Let's see. I would say it's about 100. No, it's about 200 pounds.
One leg.
Single. One leg.
Dang, that's a week. So then
that's a week.
6 weeks. That's 6 weeks just in legs alone. Then that tail probably gives you another week. And we ain't even gotten into like the back straps and stuff. Sectioning appa would probably take like a day or two.
It really would. See, now I need to go pay an artist to draw a sectioned out form of appa so I can have a clear understanding of how much meat am I having. Because maybe it might last me longer. It might be like, I know for a single person, that's like a year's worth of food. Because unless you're just a Goku out here, there's no way you're eating appa, a whole leg of appa in less than a week. There's no way you can't.
These are facts. Do people eat elephants?
Yes.
Okay.
Not as often anymore, I believe. But I know in India, well, maybe not India, but I know somewhere in like other Asian countries and in some places in Africa, there was a tribe that looked at an elephant and was like, that big boy thick. That can feed us.
Because it's an herbivore. Like,
exactly.
Because it takes so long to only make one. That's why people don't constantly eat them. But it seems like if it's an herbivore, then the meat would be good.
Because you got to remember, people used to eat mammoths.
Facts.
So if they ate a mammoth, which is nothing more than a hairy elephant, I'm pretty sure people eat elephants.
Yeah, and that is the one benefit to living in a in a cold climate, is that your food automatically preserves itself so it can last longer.
Big facts.
Which I guess is why, unless they're like really big tribes, a lot of people, like most tribes in Africa, will like take the leg and the leg will feed the village instead of like eating the whole thing. Like a gazelle.
Yeah, big facts. And yes, I did see the whole Avatar studio. Unless they're going to hire Marcus Garvey to expand with his idea, I don't really care too much.
Yo, they legit might hire Marcus Williams to do it. Oh.
I said Marcus Garvey.
You sure did.
Holy shoot.
Big Hotep brain.
Oh, God. I'm like, unless they resurrect my ancestor and have him lead it.
Now that I'm saving the live, I can't spell the T, so I'm going to spell the T on a different live. But yes, that's very possible. Very, very possible. Because I know people that have been trying to make that happen, and having Avatar Studios makes that very likely to happen. Now the question is Avatar Studios independent, or is it like a subsidiary of Nickelodeon?
I'm pretty sure it's a subsidiary of Nickelodeon.
Oh, I see. Does antelope meat taste like deer? It probably does. There's like undulating.
Yeah, it is a gamey. Yeah, it has a gamey taste to it.
This is not bad at all. I'm just here like, isn't Marcus Garvey his very...
No, he's not dead in my heart.
Marcus Garvey's one of the greatest Jamaicans of all time. I will not slander his name, even though he didn't have his paperwork. Like, if Marcus Garvey had his paperwork properly, Jamaica would probably be Wakanda. Because I've just been thinking about like all the countries that could have won Wakanda and what screwed all of them over.
Big facts. I would say there's like at least 10 countries. No, I can name 5 off the bat that could have been it, but could have been Wakanda. And then I can name maybe 5 more if I actually look up some stuff real quick.
Well, yeah, the farther back you go in history, the more candidates you have. Like, if If Nigeria decided to annex South Africa decided to annex all the white people and take their stuff 60 years ago, probably would have a pretty interesting place because they have.
Could you imagine?
Yes.
If South Africa pulled a Hades, dog, South Africa low key, I'd be like, hey, dang, look at y'all. That's right. Kick out. What's his name? What the hell is his name?
The black dude?
No, the owner of Tesla.
Wow, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is South African. He would not exist had our brethren annex all white folks.
Really now?
It would be big facts.
Dang.
Because you know what happened? He drained the energy and intelligence of our people in South Africa. And then came into America.
He just siphoned a whole bunch of Africans for their intellect, and they all got poured into him. How was Marcus Garvey a Judas that prevented our progression?
What are you talking about? He was one of the few people talking about, why are we still in America? Let's go home. Why are we here? We don't have to take this, y'all.
It's like, he had black business. He created the first network of black business internationally, basically since Mansa Musa. This man united the diaspora when diaspora wasn't even a concept. He's like the progenitors of Afrocentricity in the Western Hemisphere.
Big facts.
The problem is black folks take on the religion of white folks. What religion of white folks do black people take on? Because I don't know.
Unless you're talking about them black folks that claim Wiccan. Black folks technically haven't taken on the religion of white folks. White folks took on the religion of African Middle Easterners and then brought it back and forced their version onto us.
Black folks take in the religions of characters that they like on TV.
Oh, God.
Like, what does Sam believe in? What does Buffy believe in? That's what I believe in, too.
Oh, God.
You said Christianity? Okay, so what country was Christ from, my good sir? Was Christ a white man? No, black folks took on white folk. His version of Christianity, if black people operated with the version of Christianity that white people operate under, then they'd be operating under the same rules. You're negating the fact that the Christianity that white people gave black people wasn't the Christianity that was practiced by those white people, which is the reason why they didn't do the same things that they did to us that they did to each other.
Big facts. Because most people tend to forget that prior to white folks coming, Christianity was already, there were several Christian empires in Africa before Europe. There was 3 Nubian Christian empires that came after the fall of Kush. There was Ethiopia. Egypt wasn't Christian, but Egypt did have a big Christian population. Not big, actually. I would say it's small. It was a regular size. No, it was a regular size number. But yeah, a lot of northeastern African countries had Christianity prior to Europeans' influence. So,
very true.
This is not us trying to like convert people. We're just talking facts.
Not in Ethiopia, do you see this thing that I've been holding up, my good sir? This is a Coptic cross. If you know what the Coptic cross is, then we've come to an understanding. Welcome, Jew.
What do you mean? What do y'all mean Ethiopia came after Europe? Have y'all not heard of the Ethiopian Christian Church that existed? The very first established Christian church was in Ethiopia. What do y'all mean? This is way before Europe got there. And the only earlier Europeans that actually were in Africa like that was Romans.
Indeed. The first church was not in Antioch. The first people to call themselves Christians were in Antioch. But Indigo, Glow, you do what a lot of United people do, which is you agree with us, but you also want to be right. And we like making jokes. So it's good that you know, because we know that you know, but the things you say to prove that you know are going to dig you in a hole. You don't want that to happen. It's how people
I don't know if we're talking that the first church was in Rome, but if you Google it, Google will tell you the first church was not in Rome. Rome didn't adopt Christianity for what? How many centuries after? I mean, if we go prior to it being called Christianity. Because Christians didn't call themselves Christians. That's what Europeans did.
What I was saying is black folks took a white folks version. Okay, so there we go. That's a little bit
then, yeah,
accurate.
that's a true statement.
Yeah, there we are. See what happens when we add one more letter?
Yeah, you gotta add. You gotta say it. You gotta say it right.
The first church was built by Peter and Paul, who are Judios. I mean, that's a long conversation. I'm not sure we're ready to have in this discussion. But the short version is, you're right with the identity of those individuals, and more importantly, the skin color and culture of those individuals is still up to question.
That's big facts.
Now, if there's a bigger, the question that I have for you, United, is why do you think more so-called Afrocentric people don't partake in the African forms of Christianity or the African cousins of Christian religious thought like Ifa and Yoruba, and instead decide to be random African pagans?
Well, the biggest thing I would say for when it comes to the actual African Christians that practice their version of it and not the European one. Okay, in regards to the Ethiopian Christianity, because most of them probably don't know it, or some of them are under the belief that it was brought there by Europeans, and which goes into why most of them don't practice like I ain't dissing nobody, but the teachings that were brought to the Western Africa and the way they practice in West Africa, it's a bit problematic. And it still falls under the fact that it's the white man's version of the religion. So as far as they're concerned, and since we have a connection to it, it's just another form of control that Europeans have over West Africa. So that's why most Afrocentric folks won't practice Christianity, even if it's from the West Africas. East Africa, they just don't know it, or they're just in denial.
Winston Churchill visited Ethiopia and influenced the Christianity. These people built a church out of a freaking mountain, like literally 2,000 years ago. Like, Ethiopians legit went into a mountain and was like, hey, we gonna need to make a church. And that's what they did. And to this day, it ain't no escalator. It ain't no Dark Knight Rises rope. No, you have to climb a freaking mountain to get inside.
That represents the process and the lifestyle of being a black Christian man. Life, you have to continue. You have to struggle for that connection.
Preach, brother.
And once you reach at the top, you have truly shown that you are worthy of learning more.
Indeed. Know about the Coptic churches? That is the Coptic church. This is a Coptic cross, fam. That's the basis of the entire thing. But yes, the Mountain Coptic Church is beautiful. I'm from Nigeria. We practice a different form of Christianity from the West, from our music, dance, and so many more. That's good.
I mean, yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't brought by missionaries. Hopefully it's like
9 times out of 10,
the original version.
It was probably brought by European missionaries.
I'm trying to
and then, no, I'm gonna be real. It could have. If the chances of in a West Africa them having practiced Christianity not brought by Europeans would be wild. That'd be revolutionary.
Oh, indeed it is. Because again, I'm like very interested in the connection of the Igbo people to the original Hebrews. Because like, there's the annoying thing about there being such a vast difference in like history, like, yeah, written history and oral history, is that there's like these Igbo people that wear white and honor the Sabbath and have this super old Torah and are like, yeah, this is what we do. And then people are like, how the heck did y'all get over here? And they're like, I don't know. We just here.
I mean, people forget Mansa Musa travel. If Mansa Musa can travel to the eastern part of Africa, then whoever's on the eastern part of Africa can definitely travel to the west. And I don't know what to say about Muslims. I mean, I'm not versed in Islam like that. I mean, I can just tell you what basics I know is that the three Christian Nubian kingdoms, Islam and its people, and then eventually they fell, and then they were like, "Yeah, convert or die," and they started converting. And then the few people that they didn't threaten with, they were like, "Hey, we got good stuff," and they're like, "Damn, I want what you got, but I gotta convert." So you got Mansa Musa, who wasn't even an actual true Muslim, like he didn't really care. But he was like, "I'll let you have a couple of churches, and you know what? If my people want to convert to you, they can convert. I just want some spices." And the next thing you know, Islam like really spread like wildfire.
These are facts. Yeah, I don't study the history of Islam for the same reason I don't study the history of Asian nations, because it just makes me dislike certain things. And I can't just be out here flagrantly disliking certain parts of existence. Because, like, the more you study, like, the history of Islam, like, for example, the Prophet Muhammad was a freaking warlord. Because this man had these bandits that were suppressing his village. And he was like, dang, we need to fix something. So then he found these freaking Judios, because he was illiterate, so he would just talk to mad people because he was like a caravan dude. So he met the Judios, and then he had a dream that this dude that was an angel came to him and told him to liberate his people. So then he freaking liberated his people, and they couldn't just be content and pick they food and farm and have their like sustained nation. They were like, no, we must make the nation bigger. And so he just went around conquering everything, teaching other people to go conquer things. It's the same thing with the missionaries, my Nigerian friend. It's like when you're given your religion by missionaries, but those missionaries are like corrupt, then you'll end up with corrupt people because corruption freaking spreads. And it becomes about power and greed as opposed to spreading the beautiful faith. And there's always going to be people that want the beautiful side, but like those aren't the people that take over countries and kill people. Fake pastors here and there in my country. Fake pastors is everywhere, fam. You ever been in a church that somebody smacks somebody's grandma and the grandma goes like, ah, and falls in the ground, and everybody's like, that was the Holy Spirit. Meanwhile, you just watched an 80-year-old woman get pimp slapped into the ground.
You'd be like, I know that nigga didn't just slap on his grandma. Or have you seen the LA pastors on the TV shows? What do they call them? There's a show about big money pastors.
Preachers of LA.
Yeah, oh my God. I hated it. I hated that show. I was like, God, you guys, you are the reason. You're one of many reasons why people can't stand our beliefs.
Yes!
Like,
They were sitting around drinking water, and then they were having a conversation. And dude legit went in the past and he was like, see what you don't understand, brother. He was like, get that the heck up out of here. We're not in church. Dude was like, okay. The slap of Christ, that sounds like a video game. That actually might need to happen. We need
it's like a power
character.
They'd be like, press A for a slap of Christ.
Between Magic and Dreams, you are here. Are you ready, fam? The children is eating delicious food. They satisfied and stuff. You ready to drop these bars so that people can buy t-shirts? It's up to you. Until then, we're going to be talking about, what are you not supposed to talk about? Religion, politics, and what's the third thing?
I think, religion, politics, and I don't know.
I don't know what the third thing is. I hope it's not sex, because we don't talk about sex with United. We saved that for the
I honestly, in the back of my head, I was thinking, is that the third one?
I hope it's not, but even then, we wouldn't do that. We say, matter of fact, no, I don't do that on the internet, because that's how problems are. We don't publicly speak about sex with women that aren't old, because that's just freaking weird. Like, you weren't here when that girl shoved the dildo down her throat on the live, bro. But I was. I never want that.
I mean, you were here for that one live, for that one chick.
I'm naked in Sweden. Come in my
just keep saying it too, and I was just like, well, damn, I guess.
Just like,
I don't know what kind of live y'all think this is, but
I thought it was just religion and politics. Nah, these things happen in threes. Everything we just talked about, these are facts. Yeah, because the smallest part of me was like, really now? But we don't do that over here because that's.
Oh God, I was like,
I know dang well Judge Joe Brown ain't in here.
Oh God,
Not even sure that man is still alive. He's been old for 25 years. He better be aging like Al Sharpton. You have some pastors that are only Christian just for the money. These mega churches in America making too much money off of people. I mean, when you look into like most third world countries, the richest people are generally the pastors. It's like Full Metal Alchemist. It's like people feed people hope in places where people have nothing. And in places where people have nothing, the only reason they can sustain themselves is because they have something and don't realize it. Why not just start a show called The Basement? Because it's a dungeon, it's not a basement. And then when I leave the basement, I'm gonna have to find another basement. And we don't play in other people's basements. That's dangerous.
That sounds like innuendo, but you know, we're gonna keep going.
You talk about America, come to Nigeria, and I mean, I will be brainwashed in Nigeria, but for other reasons, my good friend.
Yeah, him and his 5 goats are gonna be brainwashed.
Nigeria trip will be great until I run into somebody's big brother, and it's like, oh, and they'll be like, "Have you ever played Dambe?" It's like, no, and they'll be like, "Good."
I'll be like, well, I guess that's the last we'll see of Joel. So, peace, man. It's been nice knowing you.
I caught a freaking roped up glove to the face, and now I'll never wake up.
Oh God, should have brought your sword, homie. Can you travel? Can you travel with weapons to other countries?
There are ways to travel with weapons to other countries. Like I had a knife when I went to when I was going from London to America. I had a knife on me because I took my knife out of my bag. No, was it Paris? It was Paris to London, I think. Yeah, it was.
Like I know I can put like a weapon. Well, depending on the weapon it is, I can put like a knife or a shiv, and like the suitcase that gets put on the bottom of the plane.
Yeah.
Going places. But like, I don't know. Could I just grab my Nigerian war axe, just put that in the suitcase?
Yes.
Put it on the bottom of the plane and be like, all right. They'd be like, sir, what is that? Don't worry about it, fam.
Yeah, if it's a checked bag, you good. You just have this very anonymously shaped thing, and they're like, what the heck is this? You'd be like, it's Marceline's guitar. Don't worry about it.
Oh, God. It's a prop, fam. It's a prop. Don't worry. But there's metal. Don't worry about the metal. All right. Then I pull up, get to Pennsylvania, be like, all right, where's this nigga Lee at?
Dang. How unfortunate. Nate says freaking military. I would be the first person in military history to pull up with no guns and just mad swords. Because wherever I get, that's when they're going to give me a sword when I get there. So I might as well bring all the blades that I can. Hide it in a laptop bag. Good God.
Lord Jesus.
Also, Sour Love, I will never move to Nigeria. Ghana, most definitely Ghana, but never Nigeria. Like, I'm going to actually go to Juaso one day, and that will be an interesting experience. But I'm not going to freaking Nigeria. I have to go to Accra, because Accra has this really dope, like, I need to meet these people in Accra that make, like, the people that gave me the idea for the mudcloth kimonos, they're in Ghana. And Juaso is also in Ghana. And I have to go to Juaso, because, like, it's in the freaking name.
Big facts.
Yeah. But,
I mean, Juaso is going to find his wife in Nigeria, but that's a whole nother thing. He can't stay here. He'd be like, all right, here's the 5 goats. Wife, it's time to go to Ghana. What? No, we not staying here. Sour Love says, why Ghana?
Why Ghana? Okay, Sour Love. So the best place in Africa for African Americans to move to is Ghana. Number 1, they've made it very easy in terms of like tax incentives for us to go there. 2, is cheaper. 3, there's access to food. 4, there's relatively low crime. 5, you have everything you need. You have food. You have
not Liberia.
All the houses are low. Huh?
Not like, is it Liberia or Liberia?
Good God, I hope we don't talk about Liberia.
We don't talk about Liberia. the country that was colonized by African Americans. We don't talk about that place no more. Is that like
God,
a no-go?
no, we don't talk about that place.
Yeah. All right, my bad. I thought that was still on the list here, fam.
No, we good God, we don't talk about freaking Charles Taylor or any of the horrible things that happen. Because like all of the great things in my life that have happened because of Africans originated with Liberians. But all of the worst things that have happened in my life regarding Africans have also happened with Liberians. And I've realized there's no in between, and that's perfectly fine. What's the Wi-Fi? Oh, Wi-Fi in Ghana is weak. You go and catch these pre-recorded IGTVs.
Big facts. Oh God, Nate, I was looking at what Tafa said, and I was like, what?
Yeah, we don't do that. I mean, Lee Juaso does not partake in the clapping of cheeks or the, well, yeah, period, at the moment. Lee Juaso is a monk. We shall have no such things. Also, Juaso is a town in Ghana that explains everything. See, you peep game, Sour Love. In Ghana, they're giving some African Americans land, and plus the president wants them to come to Africa. Exactly, they had the year return thing. They had like all these parties where just mad swole Ghanaian dudes would just randomly pick up women. It's like carnival with none of the culture and all of the hedonism for African Americans to enjoy, with gigantic African beads and kente cloth. It's literally called it Afrochella. Like, these people are pimping the mess out of African Americans by giving them a power fantasy of culture that they never had. And that's perfectly fine, because you gotta pimp these African Americans sometimes. Oh, United's frozen. He is back. If you don't pimp the hopes and dreams of African Americans, what are you doing as a black business owner? Ain't none of these black businesses owned by Africans Americans that are married to loving other African Americans. They're generally Caribbeans and Africans, because like I'm pretty sure Alonzo is freaking Caribbean somehow. I would almost put money on it, but I'm not positive.
Lonzo's Caribbean?
I'm pretty sure he is. I'm not positive. Welcome, Jet Setter. African bees are ugly. Shame on you, Sour Love. How dare you say such a thing? You gotta pimp. I didn't say pimp these African Americans. Did I? I hope I did.
Big fun fact for y'all. One of the earlier presidents of Ghana was what was it called? A Phi Beta Sigma.
That's crazy.
So, you know, we have a big effect on them. They got a big effect on us.
It's like the good version of gangs. Fraternities are just a positive version of gangs.
That's big facts.
Going to be
There
a
were
Kappa
gangs. Like, yeah, there were gangs could be with a more positive light. Occasionally, Greek members forget that they're not gang members and be acting like gang members. And then there's a rare occasion where there is a gang member who is a Greek member, which is kind of weird. It'd be a little testy.
Oh, I would have freaking agree with that assessment completely, bro. Because, like, my dad is, like, a Kappa, but his friends are, like, Phi Beta Sigma people. And so, like, when he goes to California, he'll be like this, and he'll be like, oh, I can't do that.
You can't do that. I have a cousin who's a Kappa, too. I saw him. I didn't know this was back when I was younger, too. I didn't see him have any, like, letters on. I just saw the colors. And I saw the hand sign, and I was like, damn, cousin, man, you from the South, though. What the hell? I can't have you out here with me. And I was like, does Auntie know? Dang, fam. And you put it on social media? Dang, I guess you ain't getting no job no more.
It's a problem. I came from a very prominent African-American family. I don't have low self-worth like you. It's not about having low self-worth, and it's not about African Americans not being able to attain wealth. It's that the vast majority of African Americans that attain wealth don't end up participating and contributing to Black wealth in the future. So if you have generations of Black, for example, like I technically come from generations of Black wealth, but like my father is Caribbean. And so because my father is Caribbean, I am Caribbean. And thus my children will be Caribbean. So like the chickens always come home to roost because 80 years ago, there weren't Caribbeans just running around being great in the world. Whereas 40 years ago, there were. And so here we are. We have people like Between Magic and Dreams contributing to the Jamaican population. It's wonderful.
Big fact.
If your dad is a Capo, why are you so dusty? Because I'm anti-establishment. And myself was. My ego was broken by a Chinese girl in middle school. It's been a downward spiral ever since then.
That's tragic. I think that Chinese girl breaks up.
Oh no, it was beautiful, bro. It was freedom. Because of her, I didn't have to be the smartest kid in the class anymore. And I was like, well, let's go figure out how to draw things. I'm tired of math.
I was the opposite. I had to be the smartest. And it wasn't until late in high school that I stopped caring. But even then, I was still like, nah, I'm the one of the smartest niggas here. Pay your respects to me.
And you got to whip that out on people sometimes because they be forgetting. They be forgetting you know stuff, and then you got to belt out an equation from the head and be like, yeah, it's not sweet out here. Still know things. Why don't you acknowledge both identities? Because if you're Caribbean American, well, if you're a Caribbean in America, you have to be a Black person in America. You can't be a Caribbean American and then dodge all the craziness that comes from being an African American because you're freaking Black in America. It's not like a white person runs up on you and they're like, hey, fam, spit some patois or I'm going to smack you. It's like, no, you're Black, so you're going to get treated like a Black person. So everybody's going to treat you like a Black person. Most people aren't going to treat you like Caribbean if they don't know you're Caribbean. And Caribbeans won't just randomly like run up on you and expect that you're a freaking Caribbean unless you're doing or wearing something obviously Caribbean.
Yeah. Already got a big old thick accent. You still want to know how geometry is helpful in everyday life? I'm not that type of engineer, so I don't deal with all that shapes
When
and
you
stuff.
do, what is it? I think it's the Pythagorean theorem. When you do parkour, you got to measure a jump so that you know how far you got to jump. That way you don't die like a video game character. So what you do is you figure out how high up the thing that you're jumping is and then like how you're going to come down. And if you know one of the two measurements, then you know if you can make the jump or not. Yeah, you didn't answer my. I did answer my. I don't acknowledge the identity because it's a given. That's like me saying, Sour Love, why don't you acknowledge the fact that you're a man? Why don't you call yourself a man? It's like, no, you're obviously a dude. You have a freaking beard. So you're going to get treated like a dude until somebody gets more information about you.
How the hell you know he has a beard?
I know things about the man himself, Sour Love. That's my job.
Yeah. Can't just say something like that, like that's common knowledge. Like, shit, I didn't know
You
he had a beard.
didn't know that?
Like, what will lead you to believe Silas has a beard?
He said he had a beard.
When did he say that?
Many moons ago. Again, bro, like, my brain is a receptacle of useless information. So legit, anything that has ever been said by anybody about themselves, I remember. Like, you dropped your government twice telling stories.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
The first one was
Actually, speaking of government,
huh?
someone from my streets that knows me called me out. It shook me to the core. It threw my energies off. I was like, damn.
He's famous.
I was like, yo, how you gonna throw me off like that?
Caribbean people only claim it to highlight their positive achievements. They're okay being just Black when doing. I mean, that's because Black people be doing the same nonsense everywhere around the world. There's no nonsense that's particular to freaking Jamaicans. Jamaicans just be rambunctious for no reason. But like people from everywhere are rambunctious people are rambunctious. But only a Jamaican person is going to be the Chinese version. Like Jamaicans are the Chinese people of Caribbean people. Nigerians are the Chinese people of Caribbean people. Whereas like I don't really know. Is there like what part of America has like the Chinese people of America? Because I feel like it breaks down into like city, but it doesn't go into like state.
I can't answer. Santa, don't worry about my government. I stay at home. Because the second you learn it, it's one of those, like, if I tell you, I have to kill you type of deals. So, for your existence, I know I joke around about, like, yeah, I gotta send a nuke to Sour. I don't really mean it. But now, I might have to mess around and actually send a nuke. Can't be exposed to much out here in these streets.
B-17!
I had to edit my last episode. I exposed myself again, and I was like, "Dang, I gotta edit this." So I sat through like a 2 or 3 hour long video trying to figure out where I exposed myself. God, that was so painful.
That's amazing. Also, Audacity is cool. Audacity is a cool app, but I feel like there's something easier for editing audio. Because I'll be wanting to split, and I can't find the button to split.
Dude, that took me like 3 days to figure out.
Oh, I'm glad you figured it out.
Because you mean like when you like cut, like, what do you mean by split? Do you mean like when you cut a part out and copy it to the next line?
Yes, the button would come up like every 5th time I tried it.
Yeah, it took me forever to figure out how that works. I was like, what am I doing wrong? What is this? Is there something wrong here?
Nah, it's the freaking computer's fault. What do you use for your animation? I mean, now that I got my iPad prepared today, which was freaking beautiful, because now I can draw things again. And so I use Clip Studio EX on the computer, and then I use like I use FlipaClip.
Yeah, I'm gonna step out for a quick second.
No worries. Between Magic and Dream should have been here, but we'll see if they come in. If not, Hakuna Matata. But yeah, I use Clip Studio EX on the computer, and then I use FlipaClip on the iPad, and sometimes I use Pro. Oh, now you want to come in. Could have hit that button the entire freaking live. Now United want to leave for 3 seconds, and you want to pull up. Welcome. Do you have a Nikita enemy of the state situation? Quite the opposite. Welcome, brethren. How are you?
Hey, man, what's going on?
All good freaking things.
Yeah, I got in pretty early, but then I felt weird. Like I sent them a request, and I was like, man, now I feel like I'm intruding.
I should have looked at the request box instead of freaking talking. I could have had an extra 35 minutes, but it's all good. We talked on religion and stuff. Every now and again, we got to do things that can get us canceled so that people can know that we know things. So when they don't know you know things, you got to present the fact that you know things in abstract ways, and sometimes that can be tricky because stupid people don't get it and they try you anyway.
Look, I've been actually procrastinating on jumping on because I've been wanting to do a live, right? But then I was like, man, these kids sound all super intelligent, and I don't want to betray my age and then not know what to talk about. I'm like, they talk about all this new anime. I mean, I was like, okay, about half the things you talked about I know of but haven't watched. But then there's a lot of stuff that I know about that you haven't spoken of. And then I brought up one and I was like, crickets. Let's just hold back.
What is it that you were speaking of?
It's one of the ones that my mom actually introduced me to called Lensman.
What's that?
It's about this small group of intergalactic heroes who have these guns, right? But you have to be chosen to wield the gun. And these guns are supposedly the most powerful guns in the universe. And they do some serious damage. But the one character that I thought was most interesting was this dragon type guy who's more like a lizard. But he had these wings that when he wasn't using them, they would fold up under his arms like sleeves. And I was like, that's pretty impressive. So that was my intro into anime, and then from there it just went crazy. But yeah.
That's dope. There's an era of anime that I want to get into purely because of the aesthetics. Because like, the people that invented anime learned how to animate from Disney, and that's why you have like Kemono White Lion and Astro Boy and stuff. But as time went on, the Japanese style got so different, especially like post World War II, that they began to do style over substance. And if they did decide to go heavy on like frame count like Disney did, they'd use
Mhm.
craziness. Like there's this show that my friend Mamina put me on called Dirty Pair, where everything
Mhm.
flows on like an episodic basis.
Yeah. And actually, dude, I thought it was Tom and Jerry. Was it Disney?
Warner Brothers is Tom and Jerry or MGM, but yeah,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because and this is me from, I think it was another documentary or something that I saw where they were talking about Astro Boy was derived from Tom and Jerry, but they thought Tom and Jerry was too violent, hence they went into to that. But I don't know.
that's
Again,
great. Old Japan was like Tom and Jerry is too violent. New Japan is like we're paying billions of dollars for Akira.
I know, right? This dude's hand explodes, and then there's babies and people blowing up in hallways. But that's cool now.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Standards change. Standards change.
I mean, yeah, but that's evolution. Like looking at the history of anime is one of my favorite things to do, seeing how a government responds to its artists. Because very rarely in America, outside of legal disputes, do we ever get to see the relationship between artist or art and the government.
True. Unless it's something that's politically displayed through art in which the government doesn't take a liking to, in which case, if they do make a move, then it actually blows that art up and gets that artist more recognized. So it's counterproductive towards the government's actions.
That's the power of art. Art forces people to move, and like it's taught me, becoming the type of artist I've now become has taught me that getting people to move is better than getting them to do something, because there's a butterfly effect that takes place when there's movement.
True. Ripples in the water kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
But that's something I'm actually struggling with when it comes to posting stuff on IG, right? Because it's like I put so much thought into what I want to post, but then most people are like, dude, just post something. I'm like, I don't want to post what I had for breakfast. I want to post something that means something, and people go gaga over what you had for breakfast. I had eggs Benedict. I didn't eat it because I don't like eggs Benedict, and they're like, oh, wow, I don't like it either. And then there's all these replies like, why are you eating this up?
It's the engagement. People cling. I was listening to Trent Kanye talk about it today, where people cling to the creator and they support the creator as a function of the creator being themselves instead of creating the product. And if people are in love with the product, they become entitled. And so in a weird way, it's better to have fans of us than to have fans of our product right now.
That makes sense. I'm learning, man. There's a lot that I'm trying to figure out as I go with this whole process. Because when I jumped in, it was like, hey, I can do this. I got time now. Let's go for this. And now it's happening, and I'm like, there's all these aspects. Like people coming at me from all these different angles. Like, so have you done this? Have you done that? Are you gonna do this? I'm like, I didn't know I needed to do all that. I just needed to, make pretty pictures, write a book, and tell people it's out there. But no. In fact, I actually miss doing my art because I spent so much time writing and worrying about when and how often I post.
That can happen. Getting sucked into that hole can happen. And I think 3 posts a week is the minimum to stay engaged, especially if you use your story. Because the people that support you the heaviest are going to read your story anyway. And the people that find you are going to find you through your posts. So like you do 3 posts a week, you can do whatever you want with your life.
Well, I'm trying to finish the second book now, but after that, I plan on taking like 3 months to just play my games, get caught up on my comics, do some art, do some marketing, and watch some freaking movies because I got like stacks. I mean, I haven't seen Logan yet, and I've still got the DVD in the plastic. And imagine how hard it is for me not to watch WandaVision when every time I turn on the computer, somebody's like, did you see what happened? Click. I was like, I'm trying to enjoy this. Don't take it from me. But dude, I'm not sure if it's just going to be 3 months, but I'm going to make sure I don't overstay the fun times because, you know, it's hard to get moving again once you sit down long enough.
This is facts, and you did write an entire freaking book. How I can't fathom. It's not that I can't fathom the concept of writing a book, but I can't fathom the concept of finishing it. Cause like I've written like 96 pages of a comic, and I want to keep going, but like a 96-page comic is the first thing you release is a whole lot to be doing. So how do you like finish and know that it's ready for release?
Well, for me, in this first one anyway, it was always kind of set in my mind that I wanted to do a trilogy. But when it came to that particular story, I was like, okay, if somebody was put in this situation and we know that this is where he needs to go and this is what he needs to do, I could continue after all of that, or I could hit the pause button, let that soak in, let people kind of, you know, decide whether or not they want to keep following this, and then drop the next piece. No journey is in itself just one thing to another. There's all these little things in the middle that make it to where you can follow the beats of this person's story. So it's never like, oh, he got up and then he saved the day. Unless you're Superman, in which case he's kind of got that built in, but that's different. So if you get up and you're going to go save the day, there's like all these things you got to learn before you can save the day. Otherwise, you're going to get there and they're not going to know that you were even there because you were dead before you got there, kind of thing. So in book one, he's like, all right, this is what you got to do. Man up, train up, and see if you can make it. He gets there, the things happen. Obviously, he survives because he's in the second book. But what shape is he in? Because not everybody in real life is going to be able to jump in and be able to handle a boss from the get-go just because they're the chosen one. Speaking of which, so I'm taking you up on that offer, man. I'm trying to level up, and this is going to be my first step. So, yeah, I want strong wrists to do cool videos and actually impress my children with something other than a 30-hit combo in a video game.
I'm proud of you. I think
thank
you're
you.
the only person that saw that freaking video out of all of the annoying cosplay girls and fire cosplay girls and other people that drop fire emojis. I think you're the only one that actually went and go. There's this human that drops amazing selfies on a daily basis. And she was like, can you teach me? And I was like, yeah, do you have a sword? Crickets. So it's beautiful.
Dude, this thing actually came in the mail today, and I found it real serendipitous that you would contact me it was practically an hour after it arrived. You're like, you ready? I'm like, huh. Like, let me do dad stuff. Let me unbox this sword, and then we'll see what happens.
Synchronicity. I enjoy it. The thing you were saying about the character being in different shape in book 2 was also something that I was thinking about heavily, because like I've been studying Joseph Scott Campbell's like hero's journey and breaking it apart, because when you figure out the components of the journey as opposed to following it along, that's when you have a cookie cutter narrative. And I was like comparing it to my life, because the way that my life operates is basically like a shonen anime. And so I have this piece about me because I've experienced a lot of stupidness. And there's like the myth of having to go to like the dragon's dungeon in order to like face your evil self, and then you conquer your evil self, and now you're. But what I realized while I was walking home from the store eating an avocado was that I conquered the first dragon, and now I'm not the person that I was, but there's another dragon that I've discovered, and I'm more afraid of that bigger, scarier dragon than I was of the dragon that I conquered when I was younger.
You know why? Because it sees you now. It sees you now. Before, you were just a flea. Before, you were just something that was there in its presence. But now it sees you. I kind of compare that to the whole Goku thing, because as long as Goku was just a kid whining and crying, Earth was fine. But as soon as you started charging up, you started getting the attention of other people, then Earth was always in freaking peril. So the more you level up, the bigger bad guys are going to come looking for you, because now you're the challenge. They probably looking to you to get stronger. Like, if I could beat this cat, then I can level up. Don't be dragon food, you also. I don't see that for you, man.
That was the thing. Dang. you just hit the nail on the head perfectly on like how to properly make that second part of the character. And now that I think about, like, even down to the Matrix, problem of making Neo is that Neo already beat Smith. So even though Neo is fighting Smith, he's fighting what Smith consists of as opposed to Smith itself. He's not fighting the Matrix itself. He's not fighting the people that made the Matrix. He's just freaking superpowered Jesus. And that's why they kind of suffer from an entertainment level, even if philosophically their stolen philosophy was masterful.
Well, I think once you reach a certain level, the thing that makes something interesting at that point is what you pit it up against, right? Because even with like One Punch Man, we know the guy's gonna win, right? But just the bigger, badder guys that keep showing up, you're like, oh, he might make him sweat. Oh man, he might crack a knuckle on this guy, and we know in our heart of hearts it's not gonna happen. But just that possibility, you know, I hadn't even seen the second season yet. Again, you know, books and kids, I like to blame everything on that. But man, when I saw the end of the first season and he was fighting this dude and they were going off through space and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, we think we're going toe to toe here, but I bet he's gonna pull something out the pocket. And he was like, all right, I've been saving this. Of course you have.
He uses the other hand.
Don't want to give us the best Kool-Aid in the beginning. So yeah, I think the cool challenge is seeing those guys that might make your uber powerful protagonist sweat. And I don't want this character to get there for some time, right? I'm not saying that even beyond this third book that I'm going to continue with his story per se, because every character in this book has the potential to have their own thing, and I'm going to explore that, right? So if he does show up later, most likely it'll be on somebody else's team, or he'll be, you know, in somebody else's story, in and out, as though other people are in his story, in and out. So it's all about perspective. That's one of the main things I want to push with this story is perspective, and the fact that we're all the protagonists of our story. Hence, everybody else, at the very best, is a co-star, right? So me and my lovely Jamaican wife, she's my co-star. And I'm saying that she's not even here, so that must be love, right? So yeah, she's like my co-star, but there's so many things, man, that I've had to like change, not necessarily because I'm married, but because of the fact that I can't do this stuff without thinking about my just me, right? Goku can go off and, you know, fight these things and get blown to pieces and come back or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, you know, it's cool. And then when everything's finally chill, he's like, hey, time to be a dad and a husband, right? And I can't do that. So there's times when I want to run off, there's something going on. It's like, oh, baby, hang on, let me go. No, you stay here. I'm like, why? Oh, that's right. I gotta be around for kids and wifey. But my mindset is, what if that was you, right? And there was some stranger walking by, and he's like, that's not my problem. I'm like, first off, I'll get that guy, and then I'm gonna go get that guy. I'm like, dude, why? You know, but that's just me. But with that in mind, which type of protagonist are you gonna be? Right? So my question to you would be that, like, I don't see you as the passerby, and unless there's something I don't know, I don't see you as the guy who's like, oh man, I got a wife and kids to watch out for. I got a business to run. I can't be running off saving the day, you know. So what's up with that? Which type of protagonist would you be, or are you?
That's the funny thing about things, is that I learned about manifestation in art subconsciously, and as time has gone on, I've started to learn more about actively manifesting things. So like when I was younger, I read Kenichi, and Kenichi blew my mind. I was like, hold up. This whole story is about this dude that learns martial arts from all of these masters and takes components of them and then does stuff. I want to become that person. And so I ran around and met all these martial artists and learned stuff from them and ran around and fought people in the street for some years, and then stopped doing that and started traveling with my friends and going to conventions dressed as Akatsuki members, swinging nunchucks and stuff. And now I've kind of concluded that part, and I have the information that I want, but I'm realizing that the second level of having that information, the responsibility is to put those experiences in digestible forms to make other people's trails easier. So as a protagonist, it's kind of what the like the member of Fairy Tale, like Mystigan, who will like disappear because he's on a mission, but when he comes back, he's like about his team and stuff, and he'll eventually settle down. But like this is the arc where he gets powerful enough to actually protect and provide for his family. So like if I was on the street and like there was a time when I was on the street and this dude was going in on this girl for absolutely no reason, and I just stopped and just looked at him, and he looked at me, and she dipped, and she dipped, I dipped. I need to punch this man in the face.
The distractor. I like that. I like that. Nobody has to get hurt. What are you talking about? God.
Yeah, that's the answer to the question. It's in becoming the man that I'm supposed to become, I'm acknowledging the freedom that I have as the boy that I am. And as the boy that I've been, I've taken those lessons in order to subsist being this person without screwing over my life. Because also, like, being 20, on one side of the coin, I see children that have a lot of potential. And I see my friends who are working up to the potential people that they'll be. And I've seen people that have made all the mistakes they said they wouldn't make because they allowed themselves to be seized by something, be it lust or greed or want for power or anything. And that's jacked up their lives forever. And so being cognizant of that and watching all that, it's affected a lot how I move. And it's the reason I move the way that I do now.
Yeah, I call that watching the madness. Like all through high school, and a lot of people still have this high school mentality. But all through high school, I was the guy that kind of like the lurker. I would be in the corner just watching. I'm like, okay, so the jocks like to hang with the model chicks. But the model chicks, they despise the nerds. I don't know if I'm a nerd or not. We'll see, you know? And as time went on, I realized that the more I watched, the more I knew. And then weirdly enough, people would come to me asking me for advice. I'm like, why are you asking me, man? I'm the dark guy in the corner. But I would drop like this little knowledge and then, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, well, obviously I know stuff. I can't wait to get out of here. So, and back to that point of you stepping up when old girl was getting beat down. I had a very similar experience, but we ended up getting twisted up, and I still got the scar. Dude bit me. He went straight zombie because he couldn't. I have zero technical fighting skill, right? But I watched a lot of Channel 9, and I watched a lot of wrestling, and I got some dangly limbs. So, and I think dude was drunk, which made it a lot easier. So anyway, he's wailing on this chick. I go in and I just kind of twist him up, right? I'm like, got this real awkward hold, and I brace both his legs, and I just fall backwards with him under my shoulder, so he's eating dirt. And that felt great. I'm like, okay, cool, dude. Can we stop? Can we stop? And then he drops the N word. I'm like, oh. Now, I was more disgusted and disappointed than angry because I was like, I'm the bad guy. So I let him up enough so I could actually see his face, and then he bites me on the chest. So I'm like, okay. So, not ashamed to say this. Out of the shock of being bitten, I felt that I must retaliate. Hence, I bit him in the head. Now, hold up. So the next day, right, I didn't know this, but the dude stayed in my complex, right? He stayed in our apartment complex, and I'm outside working on a painting, and this cat walks by. I could not remember his face for anything because it was already dark, but this cat walks by, and he's got like this pad, this blood-soaked pad on his head. I just kind of looked at him and say, hey, what's up, man? He said, hey, like, obviously he was drunk. But I was like, things look so much different in the light. He's so much more cordial in the light. Oh, well, I guess timing is everything. That in perspective, right?
Yes. That in perspective, indeed. Wow, that's freaking wild. But yeah, when you operate in the world as we have, I guess things like that happen, and they stick with us because there's a lot of people whose lives are so crazy that they legit don't remember the craziness that's happened until something triggers
Uh, I don't know. I hope. I'm not sure what happened with him from that point forward, but I hope that moment that I had in his life made him think at the very least. I don't know, man. I think we all have some effect. I'm not sure whether it's like some vast effect or if it's just like that small ripple that's far enough out to not make a difference. But I figure if we could just take the time to pause long enough, maybe a lot of stupidness won't happen.
I would agree. People that, because it's a matter of reflection. That pause gives us time to reflect, and I feel like reflecting even for a couple seconds stops people from doing things that ruin their lives.
Mm. Yeah,
And
those.
luckily, fiction is the best way for people to reflect because they reflect subconsciously. Like people legit watch like Disney movies and move different and not realize they're moving different.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, if I can connect with enough people on a level to where there's something in one of these characters that they can say, man, I was just like that. Like, yeah, I see where he's coming from. Then they're not only going to follow that character throughout the rest of the story. Hopefully, I don't kill them off, but they will actually glean something from his or her interaction with the rest of the characters throughout the rest of the story. So hopefully, they can resonate with some of these characters. But there's at least, like I said, from this first one, there's at least 2 more books, maybe a comic series. I would like to try some animation. I mean, the comic's going to be at least 3. I'll do a mini. Comic's expensive. All this is expensive.
Luckily, I think novels, especially web novels, like digital novels, are the easiest way to go cost-wise. Because even as a comic artist, I went to this comic company and I was like, we really like the things that you write. You want to write something for us? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, problem, we don't want you to draw it. So you're going to have to hire an artist. I was like, I'm good.
See, that's always one of the weird parts of it, especially if you want it to look a certain way, right? But there's a lot of decisions that had to be made, even with this, because I love doing my own artwork. But luckily, one of my favorite artists, man, Elsevia, his name is Hector Sevilla. But I've been following this cat for years. So when I actually approached him about doing my cover, and he said, yeah, I was like, sweet. I mean, anybody else I'd have been like iffy on and having to vet them and see if they could do it the way I want. But this cat did it out the box the right way. So I'm trying to see if I can stick with him through all 3 and maybe some side projects. But I do plan on doing some artwork and just posting on IG because I miss doing that right now. It's like when I write, I want to do art, and then when I'm doing art, I want to write. So I'll find a balance at some point.
You will, and it's well, I don't know. I'm just now going into the writing side after being in the drawing side for so long. I have the opposite, where like writing is an escape from drawing, and it allows me to see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way it is for you with like drawing?
Well, it's like using a different muscle for me, right? Because when I use words, I do so descriptively and to the point to where hopefully I can paint a picture in the mind of my readers. Whereas when I'm doing art, it's like, okay, now I have so many different tools to display the image that I might have in my mind or the idea that I have. You can express the same idea several different ways just by using several different mediums. So I'm like, yeah, when I want to have like a vast selection of tools, I'll go back to my art. But when it comes to writing, I pretty much either do like prose like I did for the book or just poetry. And I haven't done poetry in a long time because, well, I've been writing books. So, yeah. I tried to jump on Dark Entropy's live a couple of times to do some poetry, and I had to create some stuff real quick because I was like, I don't want to read my old stuff. Yeah, I don't know what's old. Feels old to me. So I did that a couple of times, and it felt great. but it was just a pause from doing this. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be done writing and rewriting, and I can send this off to the freaking editors, man. And after that, it's just whatever y'all need to do, do it. Throw it back at me, and I'll cry over what you chopped out and see if it still looks good. Because I don't. This one is actually the first book is like 65,000 words, dude. So I'm like, okay, I did something good. But then the next one is already at 82, and I'm just now finishing like the main story, hitting the epilogue, and there's stuff that comes after that. So I'm like, all right, this is getting good. I'm not looking to be Tommy Knockers, but I'm looking to be something big enough to hurt somebody if I slap them in the head with it. So I'm doing good. I think.
That's freaking dope.
You should probably do a book, dude. Look, just listening to the lives that I have been sitting back in the darkness watching. There's many of those things as I've heard, and I'm like, dude, this guy's got so much information. Dude, these guys, you and Heroes United, I'm just like, why these guys aren't like running empires?
It's intimidating.
It's not
intimidating.
Really, man, because I don't see any kind of intimidation or fear or hesitation in any of the moves that you've made. I'm like, okay, I'm watching this. I'm like, what is this teenager? Hold up. This guy's in his early 20s. Hold up. He's got a business. Hold up. He knows martial arts, not just martial arts. He's got like one weapon. Okay, he's got a knife. Oh, wait a second. He's got nunchucks. Oh, wait a second. He's got a sword. I'm like, okay, he's learned a lot. I mean, was I just too distracted? So I'm looking at the fact that I'm a guy who's in his 20s, and I'm like, dude, I am generally intimidated by the amount of knowledge, both superfluous and realistic, that's coming off the two of you. Because I would sit and listen to you go on and on about manga and anime, and then the next minute it's like politics, and not just American politics. I'm like, I can't turn on the news long enough to not be depressed to listen to the politics of our nation, let alone others. And y'all be like, oh yeah, in West Africa, this and that. Oh yeah, because over in Cairo, that. I'm like, what? The stuff going on in Cairo. So yeah, it's intimidating. And initially, I had wanted to jump on a live, and I was like, every person that gets on here talk like they're some sage. And I'm just a regular dude that wrote a book. So yeah,
regular people do not write 80,000 books, bro, or 80,000 books.
I don't know, dude. I think everybody's got a story, and I'm pretty sure you can kick out an 80,000 word book like that, like that. There's the snap.
I don't know. I think it might be in the giant bag because I bought it. Was it 2 days ago? Yeah, it should be where the chips are. Yeah. Snap. All right, I'm gonna take your word on that, cause like legit, like I have a story about Haiti, and as much as I would like that to be animated, and as much as I would like that to be a comic that I write, I've realized that it's so like it's not even that. There's so many stories to tell inside of the story that in order to not leave things out, and also not to bore people, writing it as prose, at least initially, would probably be the best thing.
Okay. So what's the holdup?
The thing is, I wrote it in prose first, and then I converted it into a script. And that's like my process is to write stuff as prose and then convert it into script. Like, yeah. And so now I get to write it back into prose. So yeah, you got me on that one. I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going, because it's like I balance out my days in terms of time, so I can like do stuff so I can work until the point that I'm not burnt out, and then come down long enough, and like after I come down, then I'll go back to working. So like Red Dead Redemption, I wanted Red Dead Redemption 2 since it came out. I never bought it because I travel all over the place, so like I'm stuck at home right now. And I was like, I'm going to get Red Dead Redemption 2. Then I went in a PlayStation store, and I was like, oh, I don't have any money. So then because I went to PayPal, and like some craziness happened where I lost a lot of bread over the past couple months. And so I be getting these charges out of nowhere because one of my siblings had the delightful idea to purchase a bunch of things. But luckily, one of the things that he purchased was a PlayStation Now subscription. So I have Red Dead Redemption that I've technically purchased because he decided to go waste my money and use it. So I'll like animate, and then when I like get to a pause in animation, then I'll play Red Dead Redemption. And then after 2 hours of like solid cowboy adventuring, then it's back to animation. That's how I like balance the work and stuff. So
Okay. Yeah, I gotta do mine in bigger chunks. I was like, I'll finish this book and then I'll play. But I'm gonna play a lot. Like a lot. I mean, I got like what was it? Again, I have Red Dead Redemption 2, but I haven't finished it. And in part though, they released the online thing. And hey, now you got this open world sandbox that never ends. So I'm like, we're supposed to be doing something. Somewhere.
Like he plays in online as a black man and just runs around hunting trolls. He's like, yeah, when I kill them, I want them to know a black man did it. And he's like profoundly light skinned. I'm like, wow, good for you, bro.
That's awesome. I keep thinking somewhere in the game there's somebody sitting in jail waiting for me to go get them, and I'm like out like skinning like jackalopes. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have this legendary suit in a minute, you know. So yeah, I love playing the online games. It's just the fact that there's no finality to it. Like I played GTA 5 and I was like, oh man, this is the best. And then I beat that, jumped into like the actual, no, I didn't beat that. I jumped into the online gaming and I never went back to the actual game. So I'm hoping that's not just me.
It's literally like a digital, like, have you ever heard of anime Sword Art Online?
Yeah.
That's real. And those are like the way that, because they're not even MMOs. They're better than MMOs. Because they're technically MMOs, but they have the quality of AAA games. And we've never experienced the MMO with the quality of an online, with a AAA game before. So now that we have that, we're in this weird spot where like we have a reality that can compete with reality that doesn't end and that always has new updates.
So you've seen Ready Player One, right?
I know the concept. I'm very familiar with the concept.
Well, in it, there's this like headset type thing, and then there's a rig, and then there's like a little treadmill-y kind of 8-directional doohickey that you run on. Dude, they've actually got that out now, right? I'm getting the feeling that we're going to start finding a lot of bodies. A lot of bodies hooked up to these things, and they're going to be, you know, running around as some avatar looking awesome and doing amazing things. And the rest of their actual life is falling to pieces.
Legitimately. Science fiction, like, I don't even watch Black Mirror anymore because it horrifies me. All the things are real now.
Yeah. That's actually
in the future.
That's actually the reason I do watch it, because I'm like, need to remember that, B. You know what I mean?
What is Google gonna drop on us this month?
Like, yeah, if we could just, what was the one with the enhanced memory through like the eye thing? It's like you just go back and record. I was like, I don't want people seeing everything I see. And then I got it banked. Like, oh, okay, let's just go back to last year around November. I'm like, see, man, nah, I'm good. So, and those things are possible. I think, as you were saying earlier, Elon Musk. he's working on, I can't remember what it was called. It's some kind of thing. There you go, Neuralink. Yeah, that stuff is happening. We shouldn't be afraid of it because, you know, people were scared of CDs, people were afraid of computers, people were afraid of all this stuff. So it's going to happen because it can. The question is how we're going to deal with that when it happens, and how we're going to move forward and normalize this stuff.
We're going to retreat into other realities. And some of those realities will be digital and some of those will be very physical. Like over the past couple of years, I've gained a greater appreciation for nature because I've lived in the digital. Like people like ask me where I'm from and I joke and say the internet, or I joke and say Amtrak. Because if I'm not traveling, I'm probably on Freaky Line. And because of that, you have all of these people that's why like art has resurged, like the art market has resurged so much, and why stories have resurged so much, and we're getting so much content because people are hungry for things that people are hungry for new realities, and as artists, that benefits us greatly.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Tommy Adeyemi has a book called Children of Blood and Bone. It's the last book that I read, and it took over everything. It had people freaking reading again. It was the only book that I had read that made me see pictures after Percy Jackson. Because after Percy Jackson, I was like, nothing's going to top this. And after the sequels, still nothing topped it. And even the Magnus Chase stuff, I was like, nope, it's not the same. Percy Jackson's only so when Children of Blood and Bone came, I was like, oh, I can see again. I didn't freaking expect that. And now there's like a certain quality of story that hits where I'm not sure if it's the world building or the philosophical concepts or the combination of all the things, but they work and can captivate my imagination. And that's what I'm interested about with reading your stuff now. Is I have a feeling that's going to happen. And if it does, that'll be the first time that has happened in like 3 years, which would be a beautiful feeling. Because it's like when in Limitless, when Bryan takes the pill and he can see like saturated colors and the entire world illuminates, and it's like, oh, my imagination still works. This is freaking amazing. And you get to bless people with that feeling. That's a rare, it's not even dopamine. It's probably some other chemical that exists, but it's a beautiful freaking feeling.
I agree, man. Something about seeing things just from words that you've read, technically, isn't that like vivid hallucination? You read a word and you instantly see a picture in your mind, you know? So I try to paint pictures that that people initially can see, but then twist those things a little bit to where it's something that you haven't seen, but you can still see it, right? And hopefully, man, hopefully you dig it. I really hope you do. You know, if you got a bad review, give me that too. Give me that too. I can take it. Like,
this I'm glad.
He's like, you know what this is? This is toilet paper. I'm like, good to know, but he read it.
Because ultimately, like, when it comes to content, eyes are eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the weird thing about living in a world controlled by algorithms as well, is a computer doesn't know somebody. Even if they hit the star counts as engagement. And so they'll give you stuff based on the stuff that you click, even if the stuff that you click wasn't, because they'll notice trends. And often anything that causes somebody to create action feeds the machine, and the machine wants to be fed.
Isn't it weird that all of a sudden you don't like what you like what you're told to like? Because you clicked something one time, they're like, obviously this is what he loves. And now you're getting that all the time?
Yeah, because I don't even like Jamie Foxx. Like, his existence kind of aggravates me because he's one of like 3 black people that's just in freaking everything. And this man, he has an artificial hairline that he keeps on a little circle. And yet for some reason people are still hiring him for things. And so I don't like Jamie Foxx, but I ended up with him in my YouTube recommendations because I found out about the Foxhole radio show, and I was listening to like Opie and Anthony because I learned about Patrice O'Neal. And so lo and behold, I find my way to a video where Jamie Foxx is talking about parties in his freaking mansion to Joe Rogan. I didn't know who the heck Joe Rogan was, but that one interaction between the string of Patrice O'Neal to radio shows to Jamie Foxx got me to Joe Rogan. And I've been on the Joe Rogan train for a very long time now.
You saw that interview with him and Joe Rogan?
Yes.
That was good stuff, wasn't it? I didn't know Joe Rogan, is it Chopped Up, is it Mancia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I watched that video. That was some cringeworthy stuff right there. I was like, oh, God, oh, dude, no. And he kept trying to defend himself. Like, no, me, no. And he was spitting the same jokes verbatim. I'm like, dude, it's time to sit down. Just sit down. But some people like to double down, triple down.
Oh, indeed. We see that in the art world often. And because there's a difference between history repeating itself, or like people sticking to archetypes and straight up plagiarism. And have you ever found yourself in a position where something that you thought was like this fire idea that you just created, 2 days later you're watching TV or you're like scouring or having a conversation, and somebody's like, yeah, this is that exact thing from that thing that happened in the 80s. And you're like, dang, I hate life.
Dude, it burns. it burns, especially when you sitting there thinking you got that hot shit, you know.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, every story that you can think of is already there in some form. And if somebody has seen that other form, they're gonna link it like that, especially if they liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily the story that you tell. It now becomes how you tell the story. And that took a while for me to come to terms with because I was like, I want to be original. Like, well, how far down the line are you, B? Yeah, I mean, they've been making stories for what, millennia. So you think that just because you were born in the age of, CDs and 8 tracks and all this stuff that you're gonna get some original idea? Hmm. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's you got it. It's hitting the archetypes in a way that they are not often hit. And like all the greatest successes come from hitting the archetypes in a way they aren't often hit.
So when it comes to your stories, I mean, where do you get your ideas from? Or you just kind of look at life and draw from that, or do you just have like, something that you would see and like, you know what, maybe if this or maybe if that, hidden possibilities?
In the past, it was my subconscious talking to me. So like I had this story when I had this story that was about like an African child soldier, and it was like this African child soldier, and it was him, and it was his cat, and he would like go kill people because that's what he had to do, and then he'd sit with his cat and like pet the cat and eat beans, and that was just his life. And as I got older, it became about this Caribbean child soldier. Serene, it's okay. This is can't even see Serene right now. She's like the camera. But yeah, over time, the African child soldier became about a Caribbean child soldier who ends up in America and ends up being taken in by these mercenaries, and the mercenaries send him around the world so he can learn training and then come back to America and work for those mercenaries. And what I found was that paralleled subconsciously my life. And so now that I've realized that all the stories that pop into my head come subconsciously from lived experience, I've been able to twist those and use the lived experiences of other people's foundations for stories. So like, for example, the Haiti story, I have a friend named Avatar, and I have another friend named Patty. And Avatar is like this Haitian New Yorker that does martial arts and travels around the freaking spirit realm and is a freaking shaman and does all types of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Avatar is freaking wild. And then Patty is this other Haitian New York person, but like she went to freaking college and she's like married and she has an anime podcast and stuff. And they're both like these capable, dope women that don't try to be dudes. And very rarely do we see feminine strength outside of an attempt to be dudes. And so in writing the story, as the stories come, it's become of playing with the concept of the divine feminine, but not in the hoity-toity, I float on air and never sweat, but more like I live in the world and operate in the world. And my power in the world exists not by what I can do, but what I don't have to do because of how I operate.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah. So that's like basically what Haiti story is. A person figuring out how to live their life with minimal effort because of all of the experience that they take in.
So that being said, I mean, touching back on the point of the astral plane and traveling through that and whatnot, how could someone who has no understanding or even concept of that tap into that, or is it just simply beyond them until they're like put 12 years of training into it and all this kind of stuff? Because I've always thought certain things, right? And then until you see something you can't unsee, then it's like, all right, I know something else is there, but what do I do with that knowledge?
Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of having stuff like anime, especially, but secondarily cartoons like Avatar, or cartoons like Samurai Jack, or like music by the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix and stuff, is that we have always had iconography of psychedelia or spirituality that are symbols for things that exist in between worlds. And if you paint the space in between worlds and serve it to people, they'll see that as fantasy. They won't see that as an alternate reality. So if
Right.
you feed people fantasy and make that fantasy analogous to their lived experience, which is under the archetypes, and because everybody lives through relatively the same archetypal experience or know someone that does, you get to tell them a story that they can't understand, but that they can relate to. And they'll relate to it until they can understand.
Okay. So it's like being told stuff by your parents when you're young, and it just sounds like words until you actually grow up and experience things, and then all of a sudden those connections are made.
Facts. Because there's so, like, I was rewatching Planet of the Apes, catching stuff I'd never freaking caught. I was rewatching Thundercats, bro. Like, one day my friends just decided, yo, we're going to watch Thundercats. And all my friends are, like, older than me. And they're, like, 30 and, like, up. And, oh, no, she's 26. So they're 26 and up. They're, like, between 26 and, like, 30. And so they were just sitting watching freaking Thundercats. And I'm watching He-Man. I'm watching He-Man as a boy, and as he travels through the thing, he becomes an adult. And then Panthros, but Black Man. And it's just all this stuff that I missed out on. Wile E. Cat and Wile E. Kid are still kids. But, like, what's his name? Lion-O was younger than Wile E. Cat and Wile E. Kid before he ended up with his space pod opening and him becoming a man. And so he's literally a baby. But, like, he's now in the body of freaking Hulk Hogan. And he has to become a man in the fastest form possible as the most powerful man in existence. And then he has to, like, face his destiny on top of that. That's a lot of freaking pressure. And instead of cracking, because he has the mentality of a baby, he's like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm strong and stuff. We can knock this stuff out. No matter what stupidness happens to him, he just keeps getting better. And that conceptually is freaking beautiful. Before I was like, oh, cat people and Chitara is cute. This is all I need in life.
But isn't it cool though? It's like you said, he has no concept of the pressure and pain of failing, right? We as adults would consistently deal with that all the way up throughout our lives, but this cat, he gets to go straight from kid to adult. So now he's got all the juice and the doggedness and wide-eyed, intrigue with everything. So it basically takes everybody else to keep him from going out and killing himself. Even my youngest kid, he's like so freaking cool, but I think he's like a monster waiting to happen. Because there are these weird things that would happen. Like he would fall, cut his knee, and he's not in pain, but he's wondering what this red ooze is coming from his leg. I'm like, dude, I got you. But the other day he went to get his freaking, he went to get a shot from the doctor. He got 2. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, he's going to completely lose his shit. But I'm holding him. He gets the first shot and he didn't even wince. I'm like, okay. But then the second shot comes. He's like, kind of like it. I'm like, I'm not sure what to do with that, but at least you're not screaming and crying, So now I feel like I have to train because at some point he's gonna say something or do something. I'm like, look, man, don't do that. I'm taking the keys, Dad. All right, man. All right. So I can't have that, But yeah, I think this whole parenthood thing is weird. I still wake up some days like, dude, I'm a dad, But I'm doing okay, I think, especially under the circumstances. But all in all, I think as long as I can make decent people, I think I'm doing my job,
And having an understanding of people at their essential components probably helps a lot with that. Because I guess, that's crazy. You've probably experienced your characters being their own people and taking shape. And now you've experienced the person that you've created doing the same thing.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? What sucks even more is like seeing myself in these children. I'm like, that's what Dad was talking about. Or that's what Mom was saying. And it takes a lot to not pick up that phone like, so Dad, I'm sorry, man. I was the high-spirited child. So yeah, there's stories. But all in all, I think they're both great kids. They're brilliant. I'm sure everybody says that about the kids, but I'm ready for one of them to move out so I can have a game room. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
When they do it will be an interesting. It's because even like it's weird. Like I live here, but I don't live here, and I don't have a room because like I can't like it wouldn't make sense to. It's like the second that I would get a room, I'd dip and I'd be freaking traveling again. So like
Mhm.
yeah, that you're doing your job, and that's freaking dope. And as time goes on, they'll do your job, and that'll probably be really interesting to witness.
Yeah, I plan on sticking around long enough to see it. So, dude, when did you start your business? When did you
Oh,
start the t-shirt biz?
well, the t-shirt business was an accident that came about because I realized how to manipulate people for the purposes of making money. And it's not manipulating the customer that's a problem for me. It's manipulating the community of producers that's a problem because that can turn into disingenuousness really quick. And what I found was the Instagram, like I was like an Instagram artist. And what Instagram artists do is you get popular drawing hot girls and fan art, and then you meet a bunch of other artists and you draw those artists' characters. Between hot girls, fan art, and other people's characters, you get an audience, you become a part of the community, and then people want to get commissions from you, and then you draw people as commissions. And most of those commissions are just going to be freaking fan art with five people, with a bunch of people in the same five freaking characters. Like, you look at a lot of the most successful, like, in black anime artists particularly, it's just a whole bunch of freaking Naruto's and Goku's running around with high top fades and afros and locks. And you get your money how you freaking get your money. You're gonna hit these upgrades and that regardless. But that's what the heck people want, so that's what the heck people go on by. I got sick of it. It was actively making me like sick. But I realized that money is kind of a cool thing to have. So a lot of artists, when they want to monetize themselves and don't want to do commissions and want passive income, they open a print shop. Problem is, if everything you draw is a freaking commission, how the heck are you going to print things? And if everything that you draw is also freaking an IP that you don't own, how the heck are you going to sell them? So as a result, a lot of people open up print shops, and then their supporters buy it, and then after their supporters buy it, they're still paying for the freaking site every month, and they're like, yo, this is bad. We need a better system. And so opened my website and put clothes on there, and I used a hot girls and fan art model, but like in real life. So I operated in the real world as I do digitally. So like I got these models to wear these melanin shirts, and then people liked the melanin shirts because they liked the models, and so they started buying the melanin shirts. And after the melanin shirts started selling, then I started doing the collabs with the artists, and I was like, I need to like kick people in the face business wise. So we're gonna make a suicidal business decision so that we can like get a reputation, and our reputation can allow us to coast. And so I made like 60% profits to all our, so like 60% of that profits went directly to the artists because artists get screwed over all the time. So that was basically me telling them, I'm not going to screw you over, and even if I do, you're getting 60% of the bread. So like I'm not making a lot from freaking screwing you over, and it worked. And so website was founded, and then over a year gave out like $10,000 to artists last month, probably more, and learned a lot, made a lot of stupid investments, went to a bunch of conventions and had interesting experiences with people. And that was the year, because it was like the year that I got out of school was the year where I started like traveling. And so met a bunch of people, did a bunch of cool stuff, and now I'm here where like my position is solidified. But because I'm not a cosplayer, and because I don't make funny internet videos, I'm not in the nerd community. But that's not a bane, because being a card-carrying member of the nerd community revolves a lot of politics and stuff. And because I'm not a part of that, I get to skate by a lot of that. But because I know people and people know me, I get to have cool conversations. So it's like being the Watcher, or being like Sweden, where you're a neutral party that's cool with everybody, but doesn't get all the benefits, but also gets like none of the backlash or detractors. And so yeah, now that
Watching the madness. That's right.
there we go. Yes, I'm in the perfect space to watch the madness. And because we can watch the madness, I just get to live in this existence and go live with cool people and have cool conversations and draw fire people. And life is freaking great. And then because I know the rules of art, anytime I need money, I can just conjure it by doing some stupidness for simpletons, and then simpletons give me money, and then I go on the live with our supporters and laugh about it.
Like Joe Goku with an afro. Like, okay, there you go, $50.
Yep, this is what y'all wanted. This is what y'all get.
Yeah, I find it difficult to do commissions for that reason. I like to do just my stuff and put it out. Like, if you like it, cool, buy it. If not, keep it moving. But
Yep.
every so often, man, I'll do commissions, but I have to be real picky. You know, not to be like Sadiddy or anything. It's just that I'm gonna have to put hours into this, hours and supplies, and I'm like, do I want to do that? For the right price, maybe.
That is what happens, because there's, and I like the black art community, because like the stupid people never pay a lot for commissions. Like stupid black people don't pay a lot for commissions. Like anybody that wants you to draw some stupidness, they're not paying upwards of $100 for a piece. But like these freaking, I don't know how these white men get all this money to ask for the craziness they be asking for. But
Networking.
there was this one, yes, I'm sick of it. I'm actively freaking sick of it. Like, I'm glad that black nerds, like, when they want a lot of money, they just drop bread on the freaking cabinet. And they're like, yeah, I got the actual Street Fighter arcade cabinet in my house. Heck am I buying freaking hentai for? But these freaking white people, there was a white man that pulled up in my freaking messaging box. He was like, so, I like that drawing you did. And I was like, thank you. And he said, could you draw my wife? And I was like, of course I'll draw your wife, dude. He was like, cool. And he hits me with like 15 freaking nudes. And he's like, all right, I'll name your price. And I'm just looking like I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this, sir.
Look, anytime it's something that, well, first off, nudes I'm pretty much down for, whatever. But whenever somebody sends me something and I'm like, I don't feel like doing this, I always just triple my price. And if they're like, okay, I'm like, cool. You know, I mean, 3 times the price, I'll draw whatever you need me to draw. Oh, okay, to a degree, but
I would agree with
still,
that. That's meant completely. $300
times.
drawing that will take 5 hours. That's pretty good. That's $60 an hour. That's freaking nurse money. I like it.
But yeah, man, I definitely want to do all my t-shirts through you exclusively.
Much
Right?
love.
Because the first thing that caught me was just like what you said. It's like, look, artists get screwed over, so I want you guys to get the profits. I want you to get the majority of it. I'm like, huh, that's nice. And then I was like, let me go check out this man's site. He's saying too many of the right things to be working legit. So I went through it. I was looking. I was like, his stuff is tight. And dude, honestly, ever since I went on this journey, I've been finding the right people for a lot of things, and it's strictly by going by my gut. Because there's this cat who's doing an R&B song for me right now, and I caught up with him, and I was listening to all these different people, and then I heard his voice, and I was like, I want this cat to do it. And granted, I had a ceiling for my price, but I was like, I really want this dude to do it, and he agreed. So now I got like an R&B song for Between Magic and Dreams coming up. And then there was, what was it? Of course, the artist that I already told you about. But then the cat who did my audiobook, I was like listening to 12 different people, but I heard this cat's voice. I was like, that's Quinn, right? I had him in my pocket for 2 months before I decided to actually contact him, because I was like, watch, this cat want like $300 an hour or something. But he was actually excited to do the project because, a lot of other stuff he had done was just different stuff. And he's like, man, I like this character, so on and so forth. I'm like, sweet. So he did that, and he's on for like the next 2 books. So I'm like, see, this is working out. Everything's kind of falling into place. And then I actually contacted a buddy of mine to check his, t-shirts or whatever. And I was like, all right, so let me see what you got. He sent me a t-shirt, and the t-shirt plus the shipping cost me almost $40. And I was like, you do understand people ain't buying t-shirts for $40, And I'm like, and how am I going to try to move t-shirts at 40? I was like, it was great quality, right? Don't get me wrong, but man, I can't see that working. So when I stumbled across your stuff, I was like, see, he's got like good numbers, he's saying the right stuff. Let's see what's up. And I've been watching you, I was like, see, he knows stuff. Seems like a pretty decent guy. So it's working out. It's working out, and I like that. So I'm gonna keep sticking with that process. I'm sure at some point it'll kick me. One guy did a Fiverr. I'm learning my lessons as I go, man. I went through Fiverr. I was like, dude, I want a drum and bass beat that I want to play behind some of the clips from the audiobook. All right, give me like a week. How come this cat got back with me in 2 days? I'm like, this seems like a canned situation. And I listened to it and I'm like, this don't sound like he put new work into this. And I'm like, come on, man. I didn't haggle with the price, right? I mean, I figured I would at least get due diligence. And he did some revisions, but he just kind of tweaked the canned piece. So I was like, thanks, bruh. But yeah, I moved, and this is where the youth come in. I moved to my best friend's son. Like, yo, man, I'm looking for this. Now, if you can't do drum and bass, that's fine. Give me a hip hop beat, because that's what he does. Man, less than a week later, I got this tight ass beat. And I'm like, I don't know why I stepped outside of my box. So from now on, I'm going with my gut, So I'm looking to do a lot of good stuff. And I see that happening working through your company and these other folks. So I appreciate you taking me on.
Hey, much love. It is fun. I guess I've been operating through my gut as well. And my bank account shows it because I have exactly enough money to make moves. as soon as I buy something stupid, I make no money for a week. I'm like, this is what we do, Jesus? All right, I'll remember it. So now life is cool because I have the exact life has set itself up where I'll always have the exact amount to do what needs to be done. And as long as that gets done, more good stuff keeps happening.
That's what's up. Shoot. Oh, speaking of the story, now I do happen to have some vouchers for audiobooks. A lot of people don't have time to read. Hence, that's why I had the audiobook made. You seem like a busy guy. Would you like the audiobook?
Yes.
All right, I'll shoot you that tonight. I like to treat my people good.
This is greatly appreciated. And I will let you know there's at least one person that bought one of your shirts. It might have been you, but there might be another person that has bought one of your shirts. I think 3 have sold right now. So
what?
Yeah. So when I drop this Reels piece, we shall see. Cause I'm trying new strategies. Cause I've after seeing what that sword video did, I was like, okay, we're gonna feed the people for a little bit. Cause I like pushing against the wave with social media stuff. But I figure riding the wave right now is a good thing to do.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna send you some more designs. Hopefully tomorrow. I've got at the very least 3 that I want to do. I'm trying to push the envelope with some of my design ideas. So I'm like, I want this on the t-shirt, but I don't want it to be a block. I don't want it to be a circle. Let's see what we can work out. So tomorrow night at the latest, I'll have one new one for you. But this is actually from a piece that I'm going to be releasing as a poster a little later. So it's kind of like a preview for those who are actually interested in stuff. It's going to be cool, man. I got so much stuff planned. I mean, I got ADHD too, so I'm all over the place. Soon I'm going to have a YouTube channel, I hope. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to have on there besides random geekery and stuff about the book, but I definitely plan on showcasing a lot of my friends and a lot of cool people's talents and skills, because there's too many people that I know that have some ability or some skill that goes under the radar because life, man. I mean, this has been in my head for over 15 years. And it just so happened that perfect storm landed to where it was like, all right, now if I don't do it, it's just my own fault. So I knocked that out. So we're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna put as many people on as I can.
Excellent. That's the plan. That's what I want to do as well. That's why we're operating the way we are instead of freaking selling out. Dang. Wow. I can't say that because I'm trying to be nice now. What's something that people should do that don't do? There we are. Instead of selling freaking Akira jackets, trying to make things that are actually groundbreaking, that have dope people doing dope things. And the reels where we have snippets of the interviews, I think that's the best way to do it, because the gems are dropped, people enjoy the gems, and then they go to support the people that give them the gems, and that allows us to have an end to customers that otherwise would only go because something looked cool or because they saw somebody that they liked wearing it.
Yeah. You know what else I think makes a huge difference, man, is quality. Right? I went online looking for black anime, and I would see lots of stuff of which maybe 10% I would be like, all right, I would buy that because it looks awesome. When you buy a comic book, you buy it because it looks awesome. It could have a dope story, but if you can't get past the cover, there you have it. So I was like, all right, why don't we have more awesome looking stuff? If you just type in anime in general, you ain't gonna see garbage. But when you type in black anime, it's got to be like 80% trash. So I'm like,
suck at SEO. That's why.
man, maybe that's it. Because I still don't know what I'm doing with that. I've been talking to people, and they're like, oh, well, this month's algorithm is this, and now it's not likes anymore. Now it's saves. I'm like, I'm supposed to keep up with all this and create stuff. I'm like, okay, now I see why people go broke in the beginning, because they paying other people to do all this side work so they can just create. And I'm somehow trying to manage all that and, you know, do the kid thing and the hubby thing and take up sword work, which I'm stupid excited about, man. I got like space in the backyard now. You know, I don't have to worry about knocking out windows or hitting anybody. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
That makes me freaking happy. And I shall send you a link to tutorials from the other account so that you can try stuff and not get hurt. Because the annoying thing about starting swords is the wrist strength involved. And yeah, a lot of people get injured because the things that are done aren't practiced the way they're done. Like the stuff that is done in videos is done for a minute, but it's not training. So the training allows you to do this stuff. Because, for example, like there's a move where you can switch out a sword in like less than a second, and you spin it on your fingers and bring it back in. But that requires your wrist and arm muscles to be able to whip it out and then hold it up in the air, and then for your fingers to be able to do that. And all that sensitivity comes from like hours of freaking going in and out and doing footwork and stuff. And so the more synchronicity there is with the weapon, the more stuff can be done. So yeah, I'll send you the freaking tutorials because they explain them better, and I was in a much clearer headspace when I made them.
Yeah, when I was watching your videos, I realized that a lot of stuff a lot of stuff you did looked flashy and it looked cool, but then I was like, wait a second, he just did that. Swords are not light. And you were just going and going and going, and there was the one shot where you slips it in and then you right back out and you're doing stuff. I'm like, see, that would have flown right across my yard. And I'm like, well, okay, practice. But I think it's due to the fact also that there's a lot of muscles that we don't typically use that are used in this kind of stuff. So learning. Like my dad's a freaking martial artist, man. And I begged him when I was little to like teach me, and he didn't. And I understand the reason why, right? But it didn't make it any easier to swallow that pill. But he was like, yeah, as your teacher, I can't hold back. And because of your dad, I can't teach you. Because there's a difference between my hands and dad's hands. Dad's hands, I mean, I'm a man, but dad's a man. He's got like, I got like, wiener size fingers. He's got like knockwort size fingers. And he's like, all right, Brian, just one at a time. All right, grab me. I went for it with all I had, dude. And why he looked back at me like, All right, Brian, quit playing around. Like, you know what? See, that's it. I can't do this. I can't do it. I just watch my Channel 9. You know, watch Channel 9 and dream. But I feel like I'm at the point where I should be able to put in some effort and maybe one day, pop up and like, hey, Dad, check this out. I like that. I mean, in fact, the first book was for my mom because she's an avid reader, and I just wanted to get in her library. So I'm like, yeah, look, put it in there, read it. So it was good. Good stuff.
Beautiful.
Good stuff. But anyway, I actually don't have anything else to really talk about.
Hey, I thank you for coming to the live. The secret nefarious reason that we have lives like this is because you have a freaking hour of content to pull from. And the maximum content off of IGTV that you can put on Instagram is 1 minute. So let's say you drop 1 gem per minute, which you most definitely don't. You have a minimum of 60 gems. You could legit screen record an entire live and every day just trim a little bit of it like freaking cheese, and you just serve it to the people and they eat it up because they get to hear you talk, and very rarely they will receive your ideas better from your mouth than ironically taking the effort to read, and then hearing you will make them want to read, and love will write things that people freaking read.
That's what's up. I like that.
So yeah, thank you for freaking coming to the live. It's greatly appreciated. The live will be put to excellent use. To the people that came here, thank you for coming to the freaking Juaso live. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and for that I appreciate you greatly. And yeah, those are all of the things.
All right, and before signing off, I just want to say, as awesome as I am, I'm only reflecting your shine.
Much love and peace to you, bro.
All right, man. You have a great one.
Same to you.